But the time came when we were able to hire an assistant, and those duties, the duties in the municipal court prosecution, were now divided between me and another attorney. And I looked with great anticipation into really doing what I had always wanted to do, which was assist Mr. Canigallo's administration with moving the city forward, with all the things that he told you about and many things that he didn't have time to tell you about. It is a very active administration. It's an administration to be proud of, let me assure you. Mr. Canigallo talked about being thoughtful. Everyone who works for him takes thought every day about what he or she is doing to move our city forward, to provide good services, better services, to be of service. And as I think some of you, I'm looking at Rich Caranta here, he's a former city councilman. That hasn't always been the case. We haven't always had people in office who thought of it in terms of service. But then we got into these ongoing political discussions. We got into meaningless, baseless allegations and demands for investigations. We found our time, and we find our time being frittered away in justifying what needs no justification. And that's sad, because in the effort to obtain a political goal, social goals and social progress are being sacrificed. Now, none of us has given up, and none of us is going to give up. I say that with great confidence. We're all going to continue to do our jobs as we see them. We are always very interested, I know I'm vitally interested in input from the community about how I'm doing my job or not doing my job, where I need to focus more attention. We do enjoy the support of a lot of people in the community, and I will say one of the most gratifying things that has happened to me in this whole process is the number of times every week, in fact every day, that someone I don't know will say to me, "Are you Mike Franklin?" And when I say yes, they will say, "Just hang in there. Don't give up. You know, we voted you in. Please stick it out. We like the job you're doing, and we'd like you to continue." And I appreciate that. I understand it, and I intend to act on it. I also want to recognize someone who's here today that you should all know and you should all appreciate, and that's Julie Latimer. Julie is one of our ward councilors. We tend to paint with a very broad brush when we talk about that council. But there are thoughtful people on council. There are people who take their duties and their responsibilities to the citizens very seriously. And I think Julie Latimer stands in the forefront of that small but select group. I enjoy doing the job, I have to say. I enjoy being your city solicitor. We are doing everything we can in my office to be of service and to improve the level of service. Mr. Canigallo talked about how arrests are up. Yes, we have a young professional police department that's very active. But we're prosecuting those cases. We're keeping up with them. We're not chipping away at that backlog the way I'd really hoped to. But we are keeping up with the new cases, and we are moving them forward. And I would like to think that we have an extremely effective working relationship, not only with our city police, but with our local state highway patrol and our county sheriff's department, and on occasion with police agencies from other communities in the county. We have, I think, produced something in the neighborhood of 140 ordinances and resolutions so far this calendar year at Council's request. So we have kept up with a very demanding legislative schedule. I wish I could tell you that all the ordinances are exactly the way I want them to be, but I will tell you they are all as good as I can make them be. I will simply conclude by saying I thank you very much for being here. I intend to be here for the next 3 years and longer if you want me. I'm not giving up. I'm not going away. And it is because of people like you that I don't feel that that would ever be an option for me. David, you had said something about, I'm sorry, about throwing it open to questions. Do you want me to kick that off? Does anyone have any questions for me? No, I have no idea how to pronounce it. 4 o'clock. Sure, Rich.
Mike, the codified ordinance and also the charter. What do you believe needs to be done with the charter and also the codified ordinance?
The charter, of course, has it built into it a periodic review process. It's not always given a great deal of attention. Right now, of course, the Charter Review Committee that is involved with that is heavily weighted along political lines. So I understand it is pursuing charter change that would be seen of benefit to an agenda. The agenda is not the improvement of conditions in the city. The agenda is the reinstatement of certain people to office and so on and so forth. But that process needs to be meaningful. We need city councilors who will put onto a charter revision committee not people who backed them in the last election or who are going to back them in the next election, but people who've lived and worked in this community, have done a number of things like yourself, have been involved in business, have been involved in professional life. There should be a balance, a cross-section of the community. And I would think you would want to get former legislators, the solicitor, the city manager, people involved in that who can talk about where the charter fails, where it doesn't help us out. Now, the codified ordinances, that is something of a nightmare because it's virtually impossible. If we pass legislation piecemeal, if we say, okay, we need an ordinance that prevents Mike Franklin from walking down the east side of the street on every other Tuesday, and we pass an ordinance that's specifically related to that, chances are it's not going to affect anything else. But if we pass an ordinance that says no person shall do such and so, it may imply or it may affect 7 or 8 different sections, and all of a sudden we find ourselves in conflict. One very significant example, and I'm not beating a dead horse here, but let's face it, the city of Ashtabula for many years offered tax abatement. The program was not lawful. The program did not comply with state law. There was no meaningful review of the codified ordinances that would bring that to light. It was only when someone objected and objected in a lawsuit that came. Codified ordinances the ordinances should not be passed haphazardly. They should be the work of committees, and those committees should have the requirement of certifying to council whether or not the ordinance as passed will have any implications for laws already on the books. It shouldn't just be asked for it, there it is, pass it.